Welcome back to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and I have a really remarkable show with really remarkable people who are here to share the wisdom of the ages and the wisdom of higher consciousness. I'm joined by my co-host, Suzanne Ross, who's hosting the Sedona Ascension retreats, where all these amazing people will be at. Gautier, Wendy Kennedy, and Shaun. They are channels. We're going to talk about channeling, talk about the upcoming retreat. Okay, Suzanne, what would you like to say? And show the poster for the retreat too.
All right, so you want me to screen share, I guess. Here we go.
Yes, here we go.
So then you have to see my desktop. There it is. Can you see it?
Yeah, you can make it full screen if you want.
That's as big as it gets on my giant laptop here.
Press the green button up there on the top, the upper.
You are screen sharing, it says.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, and we can go to the website. It's also on the homepage of the website.
Okay, well, tell us about this upcoming event and what's the theme here?
Yes, so accelerating consciousness is the theme that really came up for me. I became really interested in a book called The Bilgi Kitabi. It's a channeled book. A Galen Ataturk Turkey is channeling the Alpha Channel, and it's like 3,000 pages. It's also called the Book of Knowledge. But she brought through this solar hierarchy who said that the Brotherhoods of Light had put us on an accelerated evolution plan. They said they put us on this plan all the way back in 1990 for the purpose of catapulting us into the golden age. Because according to the ages of the yugas, if we are on a 12,500 year ascending arc from the dark ages, we'd only be 2,023 years on that arc. But according to this solar hierarchy, they catapulted us into the golden age by making every year like 100 years since then. And so, that being 10,000 years, here we are 12,000 years on the arc, smack dab in the middle of a golden age. And so accelerating consciousness is what inspired me because of this accelerated evolution plan. And so, yes, I have this event annually. This is the 9th year we'll be doing it. And every year our event has grown. I'm so excited to be able to present these phenomenal keynote speakers this year, including those who you see on this flyer. We will be having a Galactic Ascension roundtable on the very first day of the event, which is really focused on the galactics. And for our roundtable, Moulton Howe will be introducing the roundtable by giving us the latest ET UFO intel. And then after that, we will have this channel of the people who are with us today, including Wendy Kennedy, Gautier, Shaun. We'll also have Vivian Chavot and Deb Solaris on that panel as well. And then Saturday, we focus on near-death experiencers. And so we have Anita Morjani, Rob Gentile, we have Suzanne Giesman, and Mark Anthony, which has the wrong name under his name right now. I see. I have to fix that. That's actually Mark Anthony there, not Michael Jacob. Keeping these flyers updated is a challenge. Reuben Langdon, who's the host of Interviews with Extra Dimensionals on Gaia TV, will be hosting this Galactic Roundtable and has had these channelers on that show. So thank you, Alan. I'm really excited about having these guest channelers on today, and maybe they'll tune in and offer some channeling.
Well, it's like you have a whole spectrum. You go from, near death to visionaries to channelers to people like J.J. Hurtak, who's had this ascension experience, and then a little bit of UFOs. And of course, Linda talks about the soul, Mack, William Henry, Bashar, everybody knows, Maureen. So this is really an all-star cast. I'm really excited about this. If people want to come, go to Ascension, SedonaAscensionRetreats.com and get a ticket. So why don't you do some introductions here today of everyone, and then we'll.
Oh, I'd be delighted to. So I just had a Sedona Transcendence retreat, which I do in the fall. And Rob was there. Rob is known as the ET Whisperer, and he channels an entity Treb and also Aradif. And I learned at the retreat we had here in September that one is a guide for the other. And so, yes, I'd like to introduce everyone, ET Whisperer, Rob Gautier.
Hey guys, how are you today?
Great, great, great. Thanks for being here, Rob. I know you have a lot going on. You're really busy. You're really a well sought after channel out there. You've really kind of gained this huge reputation, like I think everyone here. So and then after introduce everyone, then we'll go down around and I'll ask a general question about channeling, because it's something I'm really fascinated with, how this actually happens. So,
Introducing Shaun Swanson. And Shaun, I discovered on Interviews with Extra Dimensionals with Ruben Langdon on Gaia TV. And I mean, the episodes that Shaun was featured in are just so fascinating, so compelling. What he brings through his guide, Ishua, of the Yael civilization is really stunning. And I did an interview with him the other day where he channeled Ishua, and it was just really exceptional. And then Wendy Kennedy. Wendy has been around for many years. Her website is Higher Frequencies. And so really bringing in the higher frequencies through the advanced Pleiadians. And so I know that Wendy has been channeling the Pleiadian collective for many years. So yay, Rob, Shaun, and Wendy.
I want to ask these are veteran channelers. Everyone's like saying they're channel, but these people have been around and doing it, putting in the hours, the hard work. And I'm curious, because you've been doing it for a while, is there an evolution to your relationship to these beings, to your process? Has it changed? I guess it has. Well, I'll start with you, Wendy. Talk about like maybe how you got into it and where you are now with the whole channeling thing.
So for me, it's been 28 years,
Wow.
Which is hard to believe at this point, but it started for me. I started having visions and I didn't know really what the visions were connected to. So I started doing some research to see, because I thought maybe it was associated with the old building that I was living in at the time. And along the way, I came across channeling, and this was in the mid-90s. I didn't know anybody who did it. But I had this deep knowing that this was something that I was supposed to be doing. So it took me about a year after doing some exercises and books, and I started with automatic writing. And then about a year after that, the guide said, put down the pen. It's time to channel verbally. And once I did that, I started working with my main guides, which is the ninth dimensional Pleiadian collective. And I actually work with a lot of different beings, a lot of galactic beings. When I work with the public, the Pleiadian collective comes first. They kind of take point there. And then over the years, it definitely has changed and shifted a little bit. It feels like it's a little bit faster, a little bit clearer. But we started working probably about 8 years ago with the language of light and infusing that in the written form of that as well. So it's continually developing and kind of evolving, and new beings will come in. They'll kind of braid their energy with the Pleiadians, but they take point, but there are always new ones coming in.
Well, what is the main thrust of your message these days? I'm just curious about, is there a particular theme?
Definitely. So very early on, they started talking more about galactic history. And then they probably about 10 years ago started talking more about the process of manifestation and really looking at the subtleties of it and looking at what you need to do to kind of clean up your own house. And they came back to focusing on self. And now we're kind of opening back up to a little more of the galactic stuff, because I think that's coming down the pike here very soon in a very physical way. But the message has always been the same. It's really about empowerment and understanding how we create our reality.
Okay, we'll come back to you for sure, because You're looking great. I know it's been like 20 years since I've seen you, but I'm happy you're here on the show. I don't think you've ever been on the
Thank you.
show, although we did do an interview way back.
At least a decade ago.
At least. Okay, I'll go to Shaun because I don't know as much about you, Shaun. How did you first start this whole thing, and how has that evolved for you?
What's the last part? How's what?
How has it evolved for you? Or
Oh.
some people reach a place and they just stay there. Other people, it's like deepening. I mean, there's no good or bad, right or wrong. It's just different for people.
Yeah, I was working as a healing facilitator. I was up in Southern California area, and so I started to really get tuned in to subtle energies, different types of healing, a variety of healing modalities. And I also had a bookstore. It was down the street from me, and I loved to go in there and just all the different books about. It was like wow, just like the Urantia book that Suzanne was talking with me about. It was walked in there one afternoon, and I was looking at some books, just trying to get a sense if there was one in there that called out to me to read. And a girl walked in, and she saw me looking at the books, and she said, "That one right there, that book it's a channeled book, and it's this amazing information about Earth and the changes that we're going to be going through." And I had no idea what she meant by a book that's channeled. I had never heard of channeling before. Didn't know what that, and I was kind of, what? Channeled? What do you mean channeled? And so she tried to explain to me what channeling was, and I thought I didn't really get what she was saying, but it was this energetic connection to the situation. So I said, okay, I got to get this book and just take it home and see what's going on. And so that evening I was at home in the living room reading the book, and it was talking about this idea of a lifetime in Atlantis and what that was like. And I suddenly had this sense that I had been there, and my energy started shifting, and these really subtle energies at first started. And then I just felt this very powerful, loving energy like entered into the living room, and wasn't anything visual, but I could just feel this energy, an intelligence. And so I just kind of invited a communication with it, and I could feel some shifting in the back of my, especially up in the back of my upper chakra here, throat chakra. And this energy came through me, and these two words came through with this immense flow of love and this like tears of joy, and these words, "Love you." And I set the book down, and I was like being bathed in this wonderful energy for like 15, 20 minutes or so. So the next evening, I got back there and opened the book at the same place that I had left off the night before. And this time, like instantly, this energy, this being came in, and I just relaxed. Is that you again? Yeah. And this energy came through and I said this two words came through again, "Love you." And I was just being immersed and washed in this energy of love and support and comfort. And it was, so I realized, hey, maybe that was channeling. Maybe I must have channeled it, because I didn't say them. It just came through me. And "Love you." So I went back to the bookstore, and I got a thin book on how to learn to channel. And it was kind of like Wendy said, I just read the book and started doing the steps. And day after day I was doing that, and it got to the point where I would write questions on a sheet of paper, and then I would go into the channeling state as suggested by the steps in the book. And then I would open my eyes when I felt like I was in a channeling state, read the questions, just read them silently, and then an answer would come through me. I would just channel it. Then I'd go to the next question that I had written down, and I would just start words. I would just start channeling. And I was recording all this. So after I came out of the channeled state, I could go back and listen to the recorder to see what the answers were to the questions that I had written down. And over time, I started channeling. I channeled for a friend. She's a wonderful girl. She's a psychic, and it was awkward for me to say, "Hey, I've been channeling," and because I just felt like she'd go, "You're what? You're crazy." So she's like, "No." When I told her about it, she's, "Oh, can you channel now?" She was so excited, and well, she talked me into me channeling for her, and over time, I became more comfortable with the idea of channeling.
Right.
it was such a strange, unusual thing for me. And
Well,
so
and that was
gradually,
that was 20,
that was
30 years ago.
1995. Yeah,
Wow.
it's a while ago.
Wow. Great. All right. We'll come back to you too. Rob, welcome to the program once again.
Yeah,
And
nice to see you again, brother.
yeah, I don't really know your story, and it's always great because, there's always new people tuning into the live channel and you want to know who's this. And, I think channeling, just want to say, is the way humanity gets downloads of new information. It's part of our transformation, is to tap into this unseen source. So, I think it's a real gift to all of us, for you guys to voluntarily do that for the rest of us. Oh, thank you. So go ahead, Rob. Where did it begin for you? I mean, you're sort of a regular guy, you're living out there in Michigan, right? Midwest there. And
Yeah.
what was the name of that town?
Kalamazoo. Yeah.
Of all places. Okay.
Great name.
And what happened?
Well, my story's kind of a long one. I try to shorten it the best I can, but basically, what happened was I had a son with special needs, and when he was about 1.5 or so, I could tell, that his needs were pretty heavy. So I went from that place to a depression and a car accident, and that got me hooked on pain medication, and I had a pretty long hardcore drug issue with pain meds. And then after about 8 or 9 years, my life fell apart. My relationships were destroyed. A lot of things happened bad, and in order to fix it, I started trying to just go into a spiritual ideology, and I found a spiritualism church, and the guy who did a reading was really great. And I was like, I didn't know that you could do this, right? I didn't know that this was a thing. So he said, yeah, anyone can do it. Meditation, so I stuck around and hung out at the church for quite a few months. And then eventually I kind of stepped away from it. I grew up Christian, and it never really sat well with me. And there was a lot of Christian ideology in the church. So eventually I just left and did it on my own. And after doing that for a while, I found the Gateway thing from Hemisync, the Monroe Institute, and that really helped boost my meditation. And after doing that for a while, I ended up finding my first guide, Treb, and then I hung out with him for 2 years. And then I said, hey, everything he told me, I was looking on the internet, and most of the information was channeled. And the only channelers at that time that were really out there on YouTube that were easy to find were like Darryl Anka and Lee Carroll and Jane Roberts. And I ended up saying, hey, these beings bring this information through, and what you've shared with me has changed my life. Can we do that for other people? Can you share through me? And he said, yeah. So after 2 years of knowing him and connecting with him, I just hit YouTube like the 4th time I was able to verbally channel, because I wanted to share it. And I figured if one person figures that this information is helpful for them, then maybe they can do it. And it just grew from there. And since then, my channeling's evolved. Treb introduced me to Ardif, which was his guide. And after that, I connected with Metatron, the Nihal Collective, and probably over 1,000 different types of ET consciousnesses at this point. So crazy, unexpected journey.
When did you start that? What year was that?
Publicly 2010. So when I first met Treb was around 2008.
Wow. Well, it's great to have everyone here and to be at the conference. So Suzanne, what do you have in mind for this ultimate galactic panel that we're all going to be part of, because this is your kind of vision? Would you have anything in particular?
Well, it is the Sedona Ascension retreat, and we're focused on the galactic. So I thought it would be amazing to explore the galactic ascension and see what these channelers, guides have to say about a galactic ascension. We talk a lot about our planetary ascension, but we know we're an integral part of the entire galaxy and the universe at large. So I'm curious, as a collective consciousness throughout the galaxy, if everyone in the galaxy is experiencing an ascension or a shift into higher consciousness at this time.
Wow. Do you want to throw that out here now? And that's, I mean,
So
do you
let's
want-
let Rob prepare, because he needs to prepare in
Okay.
order to channel.
What-
So does Shaun, just for a minute. And then Wendy, can you bring through the Pleiadian Collective and answer that?
I just want to ask a question before we do that. Can we all have all the people channeling at the same time and dialoguing with each other? Or is that too many frequencies at once?
That's fine by me.
All right. All right.
I'm good at that.
Okay. All right.
We'll
Well,
start
anyway.
with Wendy, though, and we'll let Rob and Shaun prepare.
Okay, great. We'll start with
Okay.
you, Wendy. So, yes.
All right. So just let me take a deep breath and we'll go.
Can you lead us through your process a little bit? Like
Yeah.
how you do what you do?
Sure. So for me, it's a very quick process. It's really about putting myself in my heart center. So the guides describe it as having two operating systems. We work through either the ego mind, the lower ego mind, which allows us to play in this illusion of separation and limitation. And then we have the operating system of the heart, which allows us access to multidimensional information. So the first thing I do is to ground and connect to the earth, because I want to complete my energetic circuit. I want to make sure that energy is easily flowing from source and connecting with the planet up and down. And then I put myself in my heart-centered space and open myself up, and then the guides just immediately come in.
Great.
I will say this, though, about the guides, and I always like to say it because everybody asks why their dialect is different than my own. And I think this happens for a lot of channels. They say the way that they're working in particular, because they waited for me to do direct channeling instead of automatic writing, is because they work with tone and sound. So what happens is with the elongated vowels, they're able to modulate some of the frequencies. And so they're able to kind of create a healing environment in addition to just the information that you receive.
Great. I'm excited.
All right. So I'll get out of the way and we'll see where we go. Yes. Hello, dears. This is the Ninth Dimensional Pleiadian Collective, and it is a pleasure and an honor to have the opportunity to connect with you. So the question at hand is whether the universe is going through its own ascension process. And in some ways, we would say yes, but it is not in quite the way that Earth is going to go through its own ascension process. Because Earth is a grand experiment, it is comprised of genetic material that was donated from thousands of worlds. And along with that genetic material comes all of the emotional components, all of the history and the memories of all of these different species. There is this energetic and DNA link, frankly, that as you go through the ascension process, the information that you have gained through the process is then shared with all of these donators of genetic material. So all of these worlds benefit, and it has a ripple effect through the universe. So that's one aspect of the power of your ascension to impact the universe. But also, as you go through this ascension process, and really, what is ascension? It is the release of judgment. As you release judgment, you find that you will increase your frequency because you are allowing the full force of source energy to flow through you when you are not in judgment. The moment you say this thing is good, bad, right, or wrong, you want to make yourself separate from that other thing that you are judging. You are cutting off half of source energy because that other thing is part of source energy. And this does not allow the full force of source to flow, and that lowers your overall resonance. But as you release that judgment, and we call it integration, as you integrate, you increase your frequency. And by having started in a place that perhaps is a little heavier, a little denser, you've walked a very trying path. Most of you here on the planet, you've had your struggles. You are able to access a deeper level of compassion than, say, we can access here at the 9th dimensional level, because you have embodied some of those heavier frequencies. You are able to experience a wider bandwidth, shall we say, of compassion. And that becomes your gift to the universe as you go through the ascension process, and you're holding all of this compassion. And that has a massive ripple effect through the universe. And it allows other species who perhaps have not been able to access their emotional bodies, and there are many, as they become very technologically oriented, they have not paid so much attention to their energetic body, their emotional body. And it is a reminder to them as this energy wave penetrates of how to access those frequencies again. And for those that may be struggling, who may have been in what we would say darker times, heavier times, that wave of compassion can remind them of the grace of source energy, that there's nothing that they must become, that they already are that which they seek. And they are able to tap into higher frequencies just through compassion. So this in and of itself has the potential to really shift the dynamics in the universe. We wouldn't necessarily say the universe itself is going through the ascension process quite in the way that you are, but it definitely changes the game.
Oh.
All right. We hope that helps.
Yeah. So, but the galaxy is going through an ascension process. The common 3D world that we see is actually changing its vibration.
Yes. And in fact, you are, from our vantage point, in the 4th dimensional realm already. So 3D has very fixed rules of a game to it. So you've got lack, limitation, separation. You've got a very dense physical body. And then you've got 5D, which is a lot more fluid. That you have the ability to remember who and what you are. And at any given moment, you can shift your consciousness from that as an individuated perspective of an individual, or you can see yourself as more as part of the whole. It is just where you want to put your consciousness and what game you want to play. So the rules are slightly different. And because you are coming from such a dense place, you needed an entire dimensional range to kind of play in. It was a little more malleable. So at any given moment in 4D, you can project 3D rules to the game onto the 4D matrix, or you can project 5D rules of the game onto the matrix. So that's why some of you sometimes feel really expanded, and then you're able to go back to a dense place. You may be projecting 5D rules in that moment and feel your connection to all that is. And then you might have something come up within your consciousness, a fear program, and that puts you back in that sense of lack, limitation, and separation. So this 4D realm allows you an opportunity to kind of play and to practice until you get up to a certain level in frequency where you cross that dimensional barrier and you sustain that frequency. And at that point, you are holding a higher level of consciousness, and you also transform your physical structure to a lighter version, one that can run those higher energies through it. You know, your circuitry needs to be able to handle it. So when you hold that higher resonance, that can flow through. And right now you're kind of preparing your bodies to handle more light through it as it is being transformed.
Wow.
And then for the ascension, do we literally in our bodies, having transformed into a higher frequency vessel, find ourselves in this or on this higher dimensional plane, no longer physically embodied in the 3rd dimensional plane?
Correct. So your body is going to be relatively similar to what you have, but it's going to be easier for you to heal it if you choose to. Sometimes you can still play in limitation if you choose, and the body can reflect that. But when you get up to 5D reality, things are much more quickly, almost immediately manifest for you. So you typically don't manifest illnesses, although it is possible. So the body stays healthier. Your consciousness is focused more on unity and wholeness All right. But that's not to say that it's not without its challenges, because what game would be fun without any challenges? You need to create some things, but you also have an awareness that you are the creator of those things. So the challenge and the creation are two sides of the same coin. They're just in different frequency ranges. So the challenge, or the problem, as it were, is in a lower resonance. And then as you expand your consciousness, you increase your frequency and you find the solution. And this happens in every single dimension. Although when you get higher in dimensions, say where we are, we're in the 9th dimension, it's more, oh, how can we make this work? We've never done it before. How can we kind of put this puzzle together? How can we build this new thing? And we find ways that, that didn't work so well. That led to this result. So let's try a different way. It's not so much the heaviness that you're feeling down here. And you're not locked into this idea that the structure that you have, the body that you're inhabiting, is who you are. It is just a vessel for the expression of your divine light, your true divine nature, so that you can play in density, but it is not really who you are at the core of your being.
Right. Maybe Shaun has something to add from his channeling perspective. Yeah, come on, bring him in, Shaun.
Yes. What would you like the
Well, do you have anything to
focus to
comment
be?
on what the 9th dimensional Pleiadians have said, or about this shift
It's a
in vibration?
wonderful expression of the way we experience this realm as well, and these dimensions as well. So I'm flowing right on board with her as she's sharing this information. It's the way I experience it. It's the way we experience it as well. Yes. It's a wonderful explanation, wonderful description. The way she's sharing it. Yes.
So what's happening to your people? Because you're semi-physical, right? I mean, you are also evolving and ascending. Can you talk about that?
It is the idea of joy, wonderment, experiencing life together, our community, those we interact with, having a very fulfilling, meaningful, enjoyable experience every day. And each day in ways that are new, unexpected, exciting to us, one day after the other, one moment after the other, enriching after the other. And it is in the interaction, the ships of relation, our relationships together and that with ourself, that we focus on, that we, in a sense, nourish, that we take care of, that we experience the individual relationship of self and interaction with others, those relationships in ways that are the most exciting aspect of experience for us at this time. The experience of being to us is fascinating. And we feel more and more as we, in a sense, are ascending into higher or more expansive levels of awareness, a deeper sense of joy, an ability in that deeper sense, more, you could say, heart wisdom, a sense of how to share with others in ways that are fulfilling for them, that touch them, that give them a sense of joy, that give them a sense of being valued, that give them a sense of being appreciated, that give them a sense of being nourished, that gives them the idea of they too are so excited to be aware, to be experiencing, and to know that in each moment yet to unfold will be an experience that will be enjoyable, that will be fulfilling. And in this, there is then the idea for us, we have very rarely the idea, you could say, of problematic experiences. The idea of troubles and trials and tribulations and sadness and depression. These are all, you could say, things that we hear about. But for us to experience is something that would be extremely rare in the way that we foster our relationship with self and with those that we are in a community with. It is a choice, yes, There is, you could say, trials and troubles, and there is also the enjoyment, the effortlessness of feeling joy, of knowing that whatever unfolds next will be enjoyable. Those are two ideas, you could say, seemingly at opposite ends of a spectrum potentially, and they both are of equal value, and you can explore them in whatever way you want, equally. You can focus on trials and tribulations, or just the joys, or you can have a little mixture of both. It is entirely up to the individual. And for us, usually we're focused in the uplifting realms. All the while within the uplifting, joyful realms, there is that which could be trials and tribulations. So you could say good and evil. You could say the high joy and the dark depressions. They all are here and now. And we are able to be aware of that in each moment, that those spectrums exist. But it is for us more and more to be focused in experiencing the joys, the fascinations of experience that are of a joyful, a meaningful, a fulfilling, a touching, very embodying of our experience as individuals. And it is in interaction with other civilizations, we can see where they are and what they are experiencing to various degrees, and that then interacting with them, they interacting with us, we grow together, and that which we have that can uplift them, we share, and that which they have that can uplift us, we and then receive. So there is a continual giving and receiving in our interaction with others, individuals and civilizations. But for us, it is always expanding, growing, ascending with our interaction of galactic civilizations in ways that are of deep fulfillment, joy, nourishment, excitement. And there are multitudes of ways that we maintain this space in this place. And it is then when we are interacting with others who would like to get there, or you could say stuck in realms of despair, that we can help in ways they are open to help them move through that, to, in a sense, flip a switch, flip the coin to the other side and feel more joy, feel more excitement, in a sense. And how this is done and the ways this is done all exist right here and now. And there are an infinite number of those ways and hows and whens and wheres. And it is that then in our expansion in our experience of galactic beingness, in our ascension, that we connect to more of those ways that always exist here and now, that we begin to connect to them in ways we are aware of, and that then able to utilize those, that we consciously direct them in a sense towards ourselves and others whenever we feel a little bit of a slowdown, a little bit of a, you could say, the lights flickering, or the melody and the tones perhaps getting a little bit of static, if you will. We are able to quickly discern with wisdom from our heart what is the distortion coming through, what is the belief that is out of alignment with actual nature of existence, of all that is always right here and now, so that we can then get back in line with the frequency of the joy, of the fulfillment, of the nourishment of one with self and with others, of nourishment for others, and receiving nourishment from others. So there is always a solution right here and now, whatever dimension we are tuning into, ascending galactically.
Thank you. We'll come back to that because I'm interested in the ways that we can increase that. Let's just turn to Rob. And who do you have for us today, Rob? Unmute if you can remember to do that. Unmute. Thanks, Shaun. That was great.
Greetings to Alan. Yet again, this is Alden.
Do you have anything about the galactic ascension that's Suzanne's focused on, that's happening at this moment?
Yes, of course. First of all, galactic collective consciousness is yet a collective consciousness comprised of a great deal of solar systems, and each of those solar systems comprised planetary consciousnesses, satellites within planetary consciousness. Some of these have no visible life from your perspective, neither second density or third density beings, neither animal, plant, all humanoid in nature. They are but barren planets, and yet those still hold consciousness. And of course, the planets that hold second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth density consciousness still exist throughout the entirety of the galactic collective consciousness. Now, while Earth is already within its ascending construct, already fourth density or fifth dimensional in nature, the humans who comprise the population of that planet in co-creation hold dearly to their third density experience. It is very few in population who hold the construct of desire to grow and expand, or know that it is possible to grow and expand, yet all humans, knowingly or not, are expanding. Your own recent history has shown a great deal of that expansion in a short time. That construct is not native, nor is it only belong to Earth itself. The entirety of the galactic consciousness has essential forms of energy, certain time periods in which certain quadrants or placements within that galactic consciousness are sped within their evolution, but all things evolve at all times. We often share with many humans who find great value in what we have shared within, yet are concerned of the value that we receive from co-creating, that in the moment when we are co-creating with any being, we are finding parts of their own energy that we have never explored. And because all of us are one consciousness collectively, for this example, the entirety of the galactic collective consciousness, so in that oneness, as that one person grows, we too are growing. And the entire Earth holds a galactic form of co-creation. So as you are evolving, all of the galaxies evolving as well. And this occurs with multiple planetary consciousnesses having spurts in growth and growing from their own evolution, and all in which they are co-creating with grow from that co-creation as well.
Wonder if the Pleiadians have a comment on that from Wendy, and maybe the L's from Shaun. Well, Wendy or ninth dimensional Pleiades, do you have a comment on this process that we're all going through, that we all have different pieces of? And the one common theme was this joy and transformation. So any comment about that, Wendy?
It's quite simple, the actual process of ascension. And you know, when you get into the higher realms, your focus is on that higher perspective of joy and connection and happiness, because that is more of a frequency that is in alignment with the oneness of all that is. And so that is where all of us will tell you to put your focus, is on that sense of connection, on that sense of connection with self, and then the connection with the whole. Because, you know, in truth, every being is a spark of the divine. And so each of you is the same as we are. We are one. So, you know, when you've got such strife down here where you are, when you can start to look at other people and see that they are an extension of you, that can also allow you to have a bit more compassion for them. And really, you know, when you start to listen to what other people want and what they'd like to experience, those higher resonances, happiness, joy, peace, love, connection, they just have different perspectives on how to go about accessing those frequencies. And that's where your strife happens. So if you can really stop and listen, you will find that they are trying to access the same frequencies as you. And they're just finding that there's perhaps another way to go about it. And there are infinite ways to go about it, but that will allow you to have more compassion for others. And that's why our focus is there on those higher resonances and that level of connection, because as you put your focus there, you will go through the ascension process.
Can I ask a quick question? In saying that there's infinite ways and everybody sort of has their own path, here, due to the events of war unfolding in the Middle East, I have seen a lot of YouTubes coming out that are Christian based, talking about the end times and talking about the rapture. And I'm just so curious if the rapture is similar to Ascension, Wendy?
Yes. Yes. So that's their way of defining it and codifying it. Because when you cross that dimensional barrier, you have an awareness that you are connected to all things. And your core wound is separation from source. So if you think about it like a pyramid, separation from source is at the very top. And then you've got underneath that safety and security, control, trust, manipulation. These are the ways, abandonment. These are things that are programs that are running, but at the core of it is the illusion of separation from source. And once you cross that dimensional barrier, you are accessing all of this higher information, the truth about your divine nature. So, we could go off for hours talking about all the organized religion and the co-opting of information, but suffice it to say, they have their own way of expressing the very same thing. And end times, for many, they will see that as being war, death, destruction. And in some ways, things have to be broken down in order to be rebuilt in a higher way. We wouldn't necessarily say that nuclear war and all of that has to happen. And frankly, we don't see it happening. But it is the end of time in a sense, because when you cross that dimensional barrier, time ceases to exist. That is one of the constructs of 3D, that you have the perception of a linear perception of time, a progression of time, and 5D, past, present, and future are one. So when you cross into that higher dimensional range, it is the end of time in a sense. To us, time is a marker for frequency, for an experience. That's it. That's all it is. And you don't really have timelines. Think of an orb, and then on the surface of this orb are infinite dots, and every infinite dot is a frequency, a specific frequency, and an experience. And you can move from one side of this orb to the other. They're radically different frequencies, but you are constantly moving back and forth on all these infinite dots on the surface of the orb. And then in your perception, you string them together, and that gives you the illusion of a timeline. And that is different for every single being having an experience, but you're also having a shared experience. Every now moment that you have an experience of is built upon an agreed upon set of circumstances, a frequency for the collective experience, and then the personal experience. What's your story? What do you tell yourself? That creates the basis for the now moment. So all of you are sharing the frequency of the collective experience right now. Things like you had World War I, World War II. These are experiences that you accept as being real. But there are other versions of you where those things didn't happen, but your consciousness right now is being projected in this now moment, where that is a set of circumstances that you have decided to explore. But there are lots of ways to express the very same thing. A lot of you are speaking the same story in slightly different ways. So this is also why we say to you, listen. Someone might not be speaking the language in terms of channeling and ascension, but they may be a very grounded person who's talking about love and compassion and extending grace. It's the same vibrational essence. They're just using a different languaging to express the very same thing. And when you all start to open up and really listen to what other people are saying, and letting go of your prejudgments about that religion or that belief system, and connect with the individual, you'll find that a lot of the strife, a lot of the struggle immediately goes away. And this is what's missing right now on your planet. Actually listening. There are too many people talking and projecting their ideas because they don't feel safe. And in order to feel safe, they need everybody on the same page as them. And so they're going to try to control and manipulate and cajole people to their way of seeing things. But you may be very surprised that somebody already sees things the way that you do. They're just not using the same languaging.
Right. That's great. Okay, and Shaun, you've mentioned levels of joy. Who are you bringing through, Shaun? And what can you lead us through, like, joy? That's a question. Or do you have a question, Suzanne?
No, the joy frequency, I'm sure, is really a big part of Ascension. So developing the joy frequency and vibrating at that higher joy frequency, and maybe even joy as a path to Ascension.
Or maybe something beyond joy, whatever that would be.
Right.
You can, in a sense, know there is an infinite level of experiencing of what you might now refer to as joy. And then you can change the terminology as it expands, as you deepen, as you experience more of joy. You can call it something else. There is, in that sense, no limit to this, how you can experience joy. In a sense, at this point, to say it is feeling and knowing, feeling immense comfort in being, feeling fully, you could say satisfied, fully fulfilled in each moment, and knowing that what the next moment will bring and be for you will be fully fulfilling for you, fun and fascinating, in a sense of feeling of being nourished, a feeling of being worthwhile, valuable, infinitely valuable, infinitely acknowledged, infinitely appreciated, and also infinitely grateful for that experience, infinitely grateful for those who are part of the experience you are co-creating with. Family, friends, nature, strangers, people from other worlds, extraterrestrials, extra-dimensionals, ultra-celestials. All of these you can become more and more aware of coexisting with you from moment to moment, and being able to tap into the joy that is within them, which feeds the joy you can be feeling in that given moment. Supplementing, strengthening, building a sense of joy within you. The ways that you tap into the joys others are having begins to, in a sense, shift the way you are experiencing the joy you are having in that moment. So relating in a ship of relationships with another form of life, which is you from another point of view of the all that is the one that is the all, you can choose to tap into the joy that is within them that they are experiencing from their perspective, from their vantage point, in a sense, and begin to bring it in through you. And in doing that, you bringing your vantage point of joy in for them to connect with. If they're open to it, they may or may not know that they can do that, but on a deeper level, you could say a inner self or higher self, they might be open to it and be receiving the joyful experiences that you are about, that you are tuning into, the frequency of joy you are at. They can begin to tap in and bring that into their experience, and that will enrich, ascend them in a sense. It is in this way no end to the ways you can experience joy. And again, what is joy for one person may not necessarily for another. The idea is there isn't that, in a sense, one definition of joy that would apply to all. In a sense, there is, you could say, the one, but that one is the all of the ways that joy can be defined and experienced all together would then combine and become the one joy, or the one infinite way of defining joy, which again is an infinite number of ways that are contained by each of the infinite aspects of the all of the parts that together combine as the one that it can express itself in an infinite number of ways. The existence, the only thing that actually exists therein is existence, which can express itself in an infinite number of joyful, heartfelt ways. And it is then perhaps becoming more aware of this as being an option for you to tap into the joy in an infinite number of ways. And then that would be a bit of intelligence. And if you act on that and choose to say, I want to experience more of this infinite joy feeling of being fulfilled, feeling of being nourished, feeling of being whole, complete, to intend to experience more of that in ever effervescent ways, in a sense, could be said to be applying intelligence in a wise way, a bit like a wisdom or heart wisdom. And therein, that galactic heart wisdom is something that we enjoy interacting with those on Earth who help them facilitate and accessing more joy within their experience, and to do so intentionally by applying the intelligence with the awareness they know they can connect to joy in more ways, for it is infinite the number of ways available, and then to choose to sit down, to decide, to intend, to express desire. I desire to connect to more of the infinite joy in ways that each moment will be fun and fulfilling for me, in ways that will be perfect in timing and appropriate for me, and in ways that others I interact with will be able to connect with and appreciate as well, feel as well, so that others can also feel more nourished, more whole, more complete. In this, then, there is a unlimited, you could say, dimensionalities we can ascend up into and move back through and contain simultaneously, holding the awareness of many dimensions simultaneously. Although that need not be a goal, it can be one that someone chooses to strive for, attain. But it is that the ways you can experience joy in each moment are, in a sense, unlimited. To say there is not then just one way. Now, there are an infinite number of ways, which are, you could say, the one way, which is an infinite number of ways to play, to experience that sense of joy, fulfillment, being appreciated and appreciating others, feeling gratitude for others and feeling others being grateful for you is a very joyful, enjoyable experience, of which knowing you can tap into this more and more, inviting the ability and tapping into it more, can help facilitate your suddenly or gradually bringing more of it in, tapping into, tuning into more of that dimension and dimensionalities.
Thank you, Ishua. So appreciate that great expression of joy and heart wisdom, especially on a galactic level. I'd like to ask Rob and your channel guide again the question about this Ascension event. And so Wendy was able, through the Pleiadian Collective, to expand upon this idea of how this rapture event in Christianity may be similar to our Ascension event in spirituality. It is just all one and the same. And so how would your guides describe an Ascension event?
Yes, of course. First of all, greetings yet again, Suzanne. Secondly, we wish to express that there are no one events that occur in Ascension besides on that which is an individual level. The collective consciousness already holds that which is perceived as fifth dimensional energy and fourth density consciousness. All humans have gone through the transition for the greater energetic process of this. But what is occurring are the individual ascensional processes through individual perspectives, growth and expansion, that one human is able to start perceiving their true fifth dimensional consciousness. Now, of course, in the collective sense, there will be many of those events that occur that allow human consciousness to expand in itself internally, which then turns the wheels, the fire, the anger within to motivate new expressions of that earth consciousness through what most of you would perceive as ascension. All of you saw this in the year 2019 with pandemic consciousness. All of you saw this in your 9/11 construct of your twin towers. All of you have seen this in all of the individual wars that have occurred, all of the individual large events that shake humans to the core. Now, of course, most human growth from this period have occurred through experiences that were altering. in the human mind and condition, most of that comes through tragedy. Most of that comes through horrific constructs. But now, as Earth holds 5-dimensional energy and fourth density consciousness, it does not need to occur in that way anymore. This is what your pandemic represented. Of course, it was an experience that brought fear to the surface, but many humans internally started working on themselves and allowing their experience of that large perceived galactic consciousness in a very earthly way expressed. All of you grew, expanding. All of you perceived what your truths were. And those truths, in a collective sense, were engaged at a greater collective level. All of the humans started working together from their own perspective of what was best. Communities started working again together on lower levels, such as townships, counties, states, etc., where in most of your previous experiences, such as your 9/11, such as your world wars, it was handled in a federal sense, and no human questioned the ideologies behind what was occurring. No humans dug within themselves and said, what should we be doing to help others? It was simply following orders, doing what you felt was important, but doing so from a larger collective lens. That is why we've expressed previously and continue to express. It is the individual construct, the internal process of the mental, emotional, and action orientation that allows that person to grow and evolve. And then, through that spider webs effect, all humans can start seeing the change in one another and grow to a collective level. So yes, you're triggering wars in the Middle Eastern area, you're triggering wars in Russia, can be a catalyst that allow many humans to activate their own excitements, to start working in different ways. So in that way, you will continue to have many of those co-created collective events that will spawn passions in some, anger in others, but eventually create that one question that is most important. What do you wish to do with this experience? How do you wish to engage in that experience? And is this experience something that you can grow from? And we will give you a cheat sheet for this moment. The answer to the third question is always yes.
Thank you.
To wrap
Yes,
it
of course.
up, could we just hear like from everyone about like a vision for the future, like just like a couple of paragraphs, maybe not a whole thing, but we could start with Rob there because you haven't said that much. What does the future look like, and how can we achieve the best possible potential for humanity?
Yes, of course. First of all, in a greater collective sense, you'll have that energy shared, but from the personal perspective, you are creating a reality onto yourself. You are playing that part of yourself as a co-creation with other human beings. They are also creating their own experience. And when they are co-creating with yourself, then you play that part of you for their projection of consciousness. So each of you have the opportunity to create quite an individual reality for yourself, depending upon how your own energy and feelings about the collective you are in are. And that experience is a creative asset for your own self. So we would ask you that query: what reality do you desire to create? And if the answer is one where humans are growing together, one whereas in the fourth density dictates that humans evolve through connection to the consciousness of yourself, connection to the consciousness of others, connection to the construct of events in front of you, and how you feel that connection occur. That construct itself allows each human individually to create their own version of reality. Now, in the collective that Rob sits in within himself, we do perceive the probability of the next 3 to 5 years of your time being one of more rapid changes. Some of you will feel quite odd in a changing environment that changes so quickly, but all of you are already starting to adapt to those changes. You have perceived in the last 2 years of your time such rapid changes that no humans had perceived previous. So from this point forward, you will find that all of those systems that are not helping human beings will be broken down in one form or another, and humans will come together to find the answers in how best to change those systems. And again, you've seen this through your medical systems. You have seen this through your financial systems, governmental systems, school systems. And now comes the time to rebuild that energy. So if you desire to create the greatest outcome for your collective, start becoming involved in the way that those systems are rebuilt.
Thank you. So I also want to ask Wendy, or the people she's speaking with for, it's not just systems, it's levels of thought. It's how to change our perception of reality. What can you share with us that will help us change the way we think so reality can change?
That's a big question, but it's really focusing on the essence of what it is that you want to manifest, as was just so eloquently put. And as you decide, all right, today I want to work with the frequency of perhaps peace or confidence. You can check in with yourself, and sometimes the I am statement is very tricky. Because if you say, I am confident, and you're not really feeling confident, that inner critic gets busy and starts saying, well, who are you kidding? You're not really that energy. If you say, I wonder what it would feel like to be confident, and you imagine that energy, that is putting you back into alignment with that frequency. All right. Both statements, I am this thing, or I wonder what it would feel like to be this thing, will put you in alignment. So then as you go through your day and you're pulsing that energy out, any place that you're out of alignment with that energy is going to be reflected back to you in the things that you're experiencing. And that is the cue for you to see some of the subconscious programs that are running. And that allows you to become aware of what needs to shift, what needs to be evolved, where you are holding judgment. And as you acknowledge that, saying, oh, I'm judging that thing over there because I don't feel safe. Or I'm judging that thing over there because it reminds me that I feel like I'm not enough. Let's take that one, for example. So then you know, if you're feeling not enough, that the energy that you need to work with is I'm enough. All right, what would it feel like to be enough? And you allow that feeling state to grow. The feeling state is paramount in the process of manifestation because it's like the gas in the car. It gets that energy emanating out faster. It's the accelerant. So thoughts will give you something to focus on, but where you are headed here in the future, you do not have external reference points for right now. So it is important that you focus on the frequency of what it is that you want to create, and the universe will start to present you with ideas about the form so that you can take action that is in alignment to build those forms. If it's a physical thing, maybe it's a community that needs to grow. So start working with the frequencies, and then it can go from there. And, so many people talk about the process of manifestation and having that real vision of what something looks like, but you are breaking down all of your institutions right now, and you're going to build up new ones. And you don't have reference points yet, but you know what the vibrational reference point is, and start there. All right. Does that help?
That's right. I like the idea we don't have reference points because it's all new. Yes. Shaun. Yes. Hey, anything about the future for us that we can, prepare, look forward to, expect, help create?
Yes, very well. There are versions, futures, yes, in a sense, various options, opportunities as a collective to unfold, to walk down, to journey upon together as a civilization, more than one in a sense. And it could be said, oh, they're all very bright in a sense, all very right in a sense, to go, to choose, to access. And of course, all of them you do and will experience. But will the you that is hearing this now be the one that is on one of those versions that you feel is right or bright? And that comes down, in a sense, to how you define a bright or a right future. For at this time, there are a multitude of you, as you know, that have different ideas, different definitions of what the future should be. And there is not, in that sense, agreement as to what the future, the brightest or the rightest future would be in that. So as an individual, it can be to be within your experience, to choose, to follow the future that for you feels the rightest or the brightest, the most enjoyable, the most fulfilling, to take actions as best you can that will allow you to be in that place that for you is the brightest or the rightest, the most loving, or whatever for you, however you define the future you want. It is then to take action in alignment with that as the individual. And therein, whatever unfolds, you can allow yourself to accept what it is that is unfolding to be for you the choice that you have made, to accept what you are choosing as the future that is being the one you are on, to accept what you are creating, to accept the journey or the version of the future that you are creating, that you are choosing to be on, to accept your creations, your choices. Accept yourself in that. So whatever is unfolding, know it only unfolding because it is a reflection of what you've most strongly chosen to put out, in a sense, to be a part of, in a sense. So be appreciative of the future as it unfolds for you, whatever it may be. And in that appreciation, you are appreciating yourself. Accept it. And in that, you're accepting yourself, your creator choices, the creationary choices that you have made, because any and all things you are experiencing are a multi-dimensional mirrormatic reflection of what you have most strongly chosen to put out with your deepest, most frequent thoughts and emotions and actions that you have been taking in that way. The idea is, you know, what you put out is what you get back. And so it is then to accept the future as it unfolds, for in that you are accepting yourself. You're at peace with yourself, whatever it may be that is unfolding, whether it is communities dancing and playing music, day in and day out, night in and night out, where there are bombs and explosions, razing buildings and people in the street in terror. It is up to you to define what for you is a future that you would most enjoy being a part of. And when you really decide that you want the future to be what you really want it to be, and you're going to be a part of it, you will, in a sense, frequency-wise, tune and attune yourself into that reality. And that may be on Earth. It may be you, in a sense, are aware of becoming a being living on another world, another planet, physical or non-physical. You may find yourself focusing in an entirely different future than one that has to do with life on Earth. So it is for the brightest and rightest future, follow your joy, your excitement in that sense as best you can. It is then whatever is coming back to you, accept it, appreciate it, for that is again the mirrormatic reflection of what you have most strongly been choosing. And there will be perhaps many still at this time who will not do this consciously. They kind of float along, they go with the flow, and that then more and more of those people will begin, with the assistance of those like those that are here on this Galactic panel today, and those who will be on the Galactic panel in March in Sedona at the Sedona Ascendance Retreat. There will be individuals that are like guides to help humans on Earth who have just been floating along with no idea of how to, you could say, steer their reality, steer the future they would like to tune into, steer their boat. They're just kind of floating along. And as the seas get rough, they get bounced and pounced, and the boat even might be capsized, and they're struggling to stay afloat in a sense. And so it is then to share as best you can, as the guides that you are being, the ways that they can become aware to be more conscious in the intentions, the choices they are making, what it is they are putting out, so they will get back more a reflection of that which truly for them embodies a future that for them would be right and bright, exciting and fulfilling and filled with joy. And in that, as more and more of you do this, there will begin to be a resonance. You could say a combined understanding of what it is you all want as the one human on earth that you are becoming, in a sense, but still with your individual experiences as individual human beings. But there will be a collective understanding of how to co-create a future that will be bright and right, in the sense that a definition becomes more aligned as the collective humans on earth tune into it. As more of you are following your joys and learning that you can have an impact on what unfolds as your future, and choosing to do it individually in ways that will be uplifting for you, and as a collective, accepting what others are choosing as their joy, therein contains an intelligence so that what is joyful and most future fun for you will others can also have what is for them the most fun future, most fulfilling future, side by side. How that can unfold is known within the infinite heart, wisdom, intelligence of all that is, in that sense. So trust and accept as you follow your heart, others will learn to do so as well. And as all of you are following your heart as individuals, following your heart wisdom in that way, it will begin to unfold a future as an earth collective of humans that are, in a sense, on a future that is bright and right, even though you all may individually have definitions that are different from one another, that is right and bright, and yet you are all still able to feel fulfilled and as though the future is right where you want it to be and very bright for you. So follow your heart as best you can and accept what it is you are creating, and allow others to find in their own timing how to create and accept what they are creating. And therein there is an acceptance of your co-creation together. In that knowing, as individuals, co-creating individual timelines and unfoldings of futures really is just the same one human on earth, experiencing humanity on earth as individuals, but all the while as the one, from the perspective of your one heart wisdom.
Thank you, Ishwa.
Yes, yes, yes. So Suzanne, how do we wrap up here? Do you want any final words from everyone, or do you have anything to say? You want to channel through something
Just
yourself?
bringing just bringing the channelers here back into their present bodies and present personalities, so we can just sign off to everyone, inviting you all to join us for our Sedona Ascension retreat. And each one of these channelers today are also offering workshops. And so Wendy's offering a workshop, so is Shaun, so is Rob. And exciting news, just today, Rob also agreed to guide an outdoor journey. So we have outdoor journeys into Sedona's sacred vortex sites, and Rob is going to be guiding one into Peace Park with a Sedona mystical tour guide. So they're all involved in doing multiple things at the conference. That's what I love about creating these really multifaceted events. There's so much to do. Presentations, performances, journeys, workshops, and during our break, we'll also have film showings. So thank you. Is everyone back to kind of collectively?
I just want to say, Suzanne, that in Sedona, the energy is definitely amplified. So what we saw here and heard here today, I think will go to another level. Is that true? Do you find that true, Wendy?
I do too. And I
do.
hear that a lot at these events that I offer, between everything that we're engaging in, learning about, the group meditations that we do collectively, that it really raises the vibration. And the comment that I constantly get is, wow, the vibration in this event just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And everyone walks out on cloud nine, and then they go back to where they're from, and they're radiating that higher frequency. And so then it spreads there. And so, of course, our intention is to raise the collective vibration so that everyone here on earth can transcend the suffering and truly experience joy, peace, unity, harmony, in love with one another.
Right.
I would like to say something too, real quick. I was at the last event. Yeah, I was just at the last event we did in Sedona, and it was a smaller one. This one's a magnitude larger, but I went there for 1 week in total, but we only did the event for 3 days. But during that time, everybody who I'd connected with, and I connected with so many people who I've known over the internet for a long time, and first time getting to meet them, and people like Ruben who I've known for years and good friends. So for me, it was great, but just being in that Sedona vortex before I went into the event was really healing. A lot of things in my life that I was working on got a lot of healing there. And everyone there told me, just like it is when you do events, that the event itself is great and amazing and uplifting. But the energy of being there in Sedona is magical. And if you've not been there, that was my first time there. If you've not been there, it's extra magical. But even if you've been there 100 times, you go back for that same reason. So it really is amazing. And the event Suzanne does is just, she's great at doing these. She's an absolute legend.
Oh, thank you.
Wendy, any final words for you on this program you want to share?
I'm very excited to be able to do this, and just kind of to reiterate what Rob said and what Suzanne said, the energy in Sedona is very special. And then to be able to do group events, and there's something very magical that happens when we get together and we start listening and to all of these amazing speakers and doing this work together. I think the growth that happens from that is exponential. We can do work on our own, but when we come together, that really helps to accelerate it. And I'm really excited to be there and to be able to be a part of this event. So thank you, Suzanne. And Ellen, I didn't get a chance to say this before, but I really appreciate you bringing us on and having an opportunity to share this energy.
Of course, it's always great. And Shaun, any final words about you, Sedona, the future, where we're going, how you are, anything you would like to?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while since I've been there. It's a fantastic place. And I almost moved there over 20 years ago. And other things moved me back to the Pacific coast of California. Then, of course, I jumped over here to Maui. So it's a wonderful energy. It's just dear in my heart. And it really is something about it. There's a lot of things I could say what I think that helps facilitate that it is so inviting and supportive of change and transformation and connecting more to the awareness of our actual nature that takes place there. As you know, certainly Wendy and Rob, you've spoken of, and as you know too, Suzanne and Alan, you've been there before, so you know what a wonderful vortex it is.
I think
so I'm looking forward to it.
But I think there's a Maui Sedona a kind of connection as well. Where are you in Maui?
So yeah, I'm in the south part. We call it South Maui, and the Wailea area, and in my experience, I've been here for over 15 years. Let's just call them civilizations from beyond Earth that have been a part of interaction with Earth humans here in a very knowing and open and supportive way in the past. And some of those consciousnesses, those experiences, in a sense, have been placed, you could say, in crystals, beacons of that experience. The consciousness is then being emanated from those crystals, and this occurs in other ways as well. Some of that information has been placed in crystals in Sedona as well, in my experience, and I have since heard other people talk about that too. So there is that connection. Some people would say Lemuria or Lemuria, and those types of civilizations had, in my experience, some interaction with people from off Earth. Very, very loving kind of groups of people. I resonate with them being similar to the version of the Yael that I bring through, because there's more than one version, more than one Yael civilization. And so they shared that consciousness, and I find it in Sedona too. It's
Yeah.
very similar and very activating and helping people grow and connect more to their joy, their heart wisdom, the ability to interact peacefully with themselves and with others in fun ways and fulfilling ways and meaningful ways. So yeah. And wow, it's great, you know, to I'm really looking forward to this, and I know you'll be there, Alan. Look forward to meeting you. And it's been a while. I mean, yeah, I must have seen you at an event, like at a Bashar event many years ago.
I think
And I look forward to see you, Suzanne, because I haven't seen you before in person. And yeah, this the event you got going with all these people that are going to be there in March in Sedona. Just wow, I'm going to see them too.
It'll be fun.
And Rob and Wendy, wow, we've done events before together. We've had some good times briefly, but wow, both of you, like at the Colony Theater there in Burbank, that was great times. And they were over by the the Los Angeles airport there for that event then. And those are I still look at the pictures of us all sitting there alongside each other, you know.
Me too.
With
It was a
smiles
great
on our
time.
face, just enjoying our company and the company of the people attending the events. What a rich time. And we're going to get to do that again in new ways with new people. So look forward to seeing you all there.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event. Rob, I don't think I've ever met you in person. Have I? No.
No, not in person. We've met a lot on the computer.
We will connect. Suzanne, you always bring together such an amazing group of people. And this is really, I think, going to be probably your best, not to compare, but you know, the gathering, the energy that we're building in these pre-event interviews. I think it's creating a momentum. So thank you for helping me or letting me be part of this. I appreciate it.
Aw, thank you, Alan, for always giving such heartfelt support to my events. And he actually MCs with me as well. So Alan will be on stage quite a bit throughout the event with me, introducing people and just sharing our insights and sharing our love.
I do have to say that Maui and Sedona are probably my two favorite places on the planet that I visited.
Oh yeah, I'm in there with you on that one, Alan. Yeah.
And Manhattan. Can I add Manhattan? Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Suzanne. Any final words from you on this fantastic event? Like, how do people get there and find you and all this? I'll show you.
Just visit SedonaAscensionRetreats.com and you'll learn all about the event, everything that we're offering. You'll see we have multi-level tickets, so you can purchase either a general admission pass, which is 3 days to the event, and you can add on workshops and journeys, or you can purchase an Ascension pass, which includes 2 workshops, or a Transcendence pass, which includes 2 workshops and 1 journey. So if you really want to immerse yourself in the full experience of this Ascension event, I invite you to purchase the Transcendence pass. So you get out into the Red Rocks, engage with people personally during the workshops, and enjoy the presentations on stage. You're invited.
You have 4 months to get there, right? November,
but reserve your
January,
seat, because for one thing about Sedona is that our event takes place in high season. And one thing people will start to encounter if they wait is that they don't find accommodations. Accommodations sell out, Airbnbs sell out. And so I really recommend you get your tickets before December 1st, also because we have our low early bird pricing until December 1st. So reserve your seats now, get your accommodations early, and so that you're assured that you'll be able to join us in Sedona.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. It's always fun to do. We're doing more shows coming up this week, right, Suzanne?
We are doing more shows with more of the presenters, so stay tuned.
All right. Thank you. Great to see you again, Wendy and Shaun and Rob. And
Nice to see you all.
Yes.
and thank you all. We have a good crowd online. Thank you, everyone who watched on the YouTube. And Suzanne, we will be in touch. Okay.
Okay. See you all in Sedona.
See you.
Mwah.
All right.